Huh? Mary. Were you here? Yes. I moved here a week ago and am now living in this house. I'll take the bedroom you were using on the second floor. So you can use the storage room on the first floor or the unused room on the third floor. What? I wasn't aware of you living here. What do you mean? The owner of this house has given his permission. So there's no need to ask for your approval. The person who pays the rent gets to decide everything. Huh? I had to ask again because I couldn't believe it. It's not a nightmare, is it? Why is my mother-in-law living in this house? I don't understand. It was already stressful enough that she came to visit every week, but living together is unthinkable. Indeed, my mother-in-law lives alone and is getting older. It might be too late if something happens, and maybe my husband is worried. But it's unbelievable that he would start living together without discussing it with me. Who does he think this house belongs to? I wanted to say that. And about my husband as well. I couldn't forgive him for being so selfish to this extent. Hello? When I came back, your mom was here. What do you mean we're living together? What do I mean? It's exactly what you said. There's nothing odd about it, right? Everything is odd. Why didn't you consult me at all? There's no need to consult you. I've told you many times, I'm the one paying the rent. So you should follow my decision, right? I was so dumbfounded that I was speechless. So, he's serious about saying that. Alright, if that's what he wants to keep saying, then so be it. He seems to be forgetting something important. Does he realize from whom we're renting this house? I won't let him forget only what's convenient for him. I took the suitcase I had brought on my business trip and returned to my parents' house. My name is Sandra, I'm 32 years old. Currently, I work at an IT company as an engineer, so I have a decent income. And my job is fulfilling, allowing me to enjoy my days. Good work today. Huh? You're leaving already? We're going out for drinks today, want to join? I have plans today. I'll see you all tomorrow. Is it a guy? Well, yes. Work was fun, and I had a boyfriend I had been dating for 6 months. My private life was also fulfilling, leading to a truly rose-colored life. And I was living a complaint-free life. You must be busy, right? Thank you for making time for me. It's totally fine. Of course, I'd make time for the person I love. Thanks. The person I'm currently with was introduced to me by a friend. And he really cared for my well-being. I had attended a science-focused university. So my student life was incredibly busy and far from romantic. Even after starting my career, there was something new to learn every day, and I was so busy that I never really had a boyfriend. But just before my 20s ended, I found someone. And it seemed like marriage was on the horizon, life was looking rosy. I truly enjoyed every day from the bottom of my heart. About the future. Talking about marriage? Yes. I'm thinking about going to greet your parents soon. Of course. I'll propose once my work is settled. Can you wait a little longer? Yes. I might have rushed him a bit about marriage. But I could clearly see a future where we would be happy together. I think I spent every day grinning about it. And so, we married 6 months later. My parents paid for the wedding and provided us with a new home. My parents run a company and had bought a property as an investment, which they decided to rent to us. He wanted to send money to his mother as she was from a single-parent family. And my parents were supportive in that respect. So, they're lending us the house for free? No, they're asking for $2,000. Normally, they would rent it out for much more. But they're offering us a special price. What? They're charging us? Even though it's their daughter and son-in-law living there. I'm surprised. Well, this property was bought as an investment, so it has its costs. It's not really profitable for my parents, and I can't just ask them to cover the maintenance costs. Well, they have the money, so I think they could at least do that much for us. If I were in your parents' position, I would let them live in the house for free. I was a bit shocked by my husband's statement. Indeed, my parents are business owners, so they have some financial leeway. However, I'm already independent, and I should take care of my own life. I think it wouldn't hurt my parents too much to let us live here for free. But it's wrong to rely entirely on them for money just because they're my parents. I'm not a child anymore. My parents, being business owners, were strict about money matters. And that's why I work and support myself. Well, we get to live in such a big house. They said they would transfer the ownership to us in the future. It's really too much to ask to live here without paying anything. They're pretty stingy. They're making money as business owners. So I think they could do that much for us. Well, if I were your parents, I'd let them live in the house for free. So, I've explained this many times. Why can't he understand? I wanted to say that, but for my husband who expected to live in a large house for free, paying $2,000 every month must seem like a big burden. Well, it's cheeky to expect to live for free just because it's my parents' property. Can't you lower it to about $1,500? What? Lower it even more? I've told you it's worth more than double that. Even so, you can lower it a bit, right? Come on, they're your parents, so negotiate that much for me. What are you talking about? It's because they're my parents that I don't want to do anything disrespectful. If you had any gratitude, you couldn't even think of negotiating a lower price. Seriously, even after we've been offered such a low rate, there's no gratitude? And they've said we can move out anytime if we want. If we decide to stay permanently, they're even going to change the ownership to our name. Despite their cooperation, I couldn't understand what my husband was saying. How can he say such presumptuous things so easily? Thinking only about himself must be exactly this. It seems like he was expecting it to be free. So he thinks even $2,000 is expensive. I see. Well, $2,000 is quite the lowest we can go. We could lower it to $1,800 at most. No, you don't need to lower it anymore. If we show him we're willing to compromise that much, maybe he'll understand. Plus, with the $200 saved, he can send money to his family. He's from a single-parent family, right? Yes. Well, we're okay, here, and since you're newlyweds, you'll have various expenses coming up, right? So don't worry. Just focus on your relationship. Thanks to my father's kindness, I was able to speak more firmly to my husband. And eventually, he agreed to a rent of $1,800. Since then, we've been living without much trouble. And we arranged that he would pay the rent while I covered other living expenses. We even bought a family car, and since the payments came out of my money, he had more disposable income. But, I'm not one to squander money needlessly, and generally, we've had a good relationship. Mom will arrive in about 30 minutes, so hurry up and finish cleaning. What? What? You're not going to clean even though my mom is coming? No, it's not that, but why didn't you tell me sooner? It's so sudden. It's not that I mind his mother coming. But why didn't he tell me sooner? If he had, I could have cleaned the house and finished the chores earlier. There's no coffee either. Probably he didn't think about it because it's his parent. But I'm the one who gets looked at oddly because of it. Why can't he think that far? I sighed, but it's too late to think about that now. I'll hurry and clean now, so help me. What? It's a hassle, you do it. I'm off work, let me rest. No, isn't your mother coming soon? Isn't it an emergency? You handle it. I'm busy. No. What? What is he saying? He tells me to clean because his mother is coming. And he won't help at all? I was already irritated by such a sudden conversation. And being told something so selfish was almost too much. I just wanted to get the cleaning done quickly. No, are you saying I should do everything? That's not fair. No, you're the wife, so you should be able to do it. Why do I have to say everything? Don't forget that I'm taking care of you. Taking care of me. Who does he think he is? I'm not aware of being taken care of by my husband. Sure, he pays the rent, but I'm paying for our living expenses. In terms of outgoings, I'm paying more, and I don't understand why he's talking down to me like this. But, arguing about it here is a waste of time. What I need to do is to get as much cleaning done as possible right now. I was frustrated seeing my husband lying on the sofa watching TV while I was desperately cleaning. But I managed to get the house reasonably clean before my mother-in-law arrived. I'm here. It's been a while. How have you been? I'm not so old that I need your concern. Sorry. I didn't mean it that way. Is that so? No. Am I thought to be making such snide remarks? Well, this isn't the first time for my mother-in-law's character. I think she cherishes her son because she raised him in a single-parent family. But her affection seems a bit extreme. When I went to greet her for the marriage, she looked down on me as if I was a woman marrying up. And it didn't seem like she wanted to build a good relationship with me. Not that I particularly want to get along well, but there's no need to dislike me this openly. I haven't done anything unpleasant to my mother-in-law. Nor have I done anything unreasonable. What doesn't she like about me? Well, my husband also says unreasonable things to me. And since she's like that, I guess it can't be helped. You know, I've been thinking that your housekeeping is a bit sloppy. It's not that it's filthy like a garbage house, but it could be cleaner, don't you think? Yes, I'm trying my best, but I also have a job every day. So I can't always spend much time on it. I was a single mother too, but I kept my house clean. You don't need to make excuses. No, I'm not making excuses. I've really been busy lately. And sometimes I have to finish tasks at home that I didn't complete at work. If there's an error in the system I'm developing, I have to fix it by the deadline. If I don't get it done on time, it will be a disaster. I wish she wouldn't complain when she doesn't understand anything about my job. Also, if I may say, her son and I are living on welfare. Since my mother-in-law doesn't work, her situation isn't much different from a stay-at-home mom. Being a single mother, she had the time to do household chores. So it's natural for her to have done them. It's wrong to compare me to her. Moreover, since we're both working, she shouldn't just blame me. Why not blame her son who doesn't do anything besides his job? I didn't intend to argue with my mother-in-law. But getting complained at as soon as she visits really irked me. Isn't it unnecessary to say that? Besides, I'm doing the household chores alone, which is tough. It might have sounded a bit sarcastic. Well, but I think she won't understand unless I say it like that. What? Are you actually thinking of making your husband do the chores? Even if I want him to, he doesn't help, that's the reality. You're the wife, so it's only natural for you to do the chores. I heard that John is the one paying the rent. Then it's only natural for you to handle the chores. Who do you think is the head of this household? Not understanding such hierarchy and still getting married, that's why I was against your marriage. What? I was so stunned I couldn't speak. Is she serious? I wish she would stop joking around. It's absurd for someone to meddle in someone else's family affairs. Talking to such a person is a waste of time and effort. I just nodded along and led her to the living room. Oh, how about we eat sushi today? From that nice place downtown? Oh. Nice. Let's treat ourselves to a good meal for a change. Sandra? We'll wait at home, so can you go buy sushi for everyone? Oh, and add some sea urchin and fatty tuna for me. Again, I'm being taken advantage of. And neither of them even pretends to pull out their wallets. They expect me to pay, obviously. Well, if I demand money now, I can already see the complaints coming. Plus, I'd rather go out for a walk than stay in this house, so it's a good excuse. Though it irks me to treat the two of them to high-end sushi, there's no use dwelling on it. With that thought, I headed to the sushi place. After purchasing the sushi and returning home. What took you so long? I wish you'd consider the people waiting. Not a single thank you for buying the sushi. It's like she's a complaint machine, constantly finding faults. It's almost admirable how she can nitpick every little thing. I considered replying sarcastically, but I restrained myself and just sat down. They spent the evening idly and went out to eat later. I wasn't invited, so I didn't go, but they are really rude people. When they returned, they drank in the living room, and eventually, my mother-in-law ended up staying the night. Although we had separate bedrooms, so it wasn't a big issue. I was still appalled by their lack of manners. She left the next day, but it ruined my rest day and was quite stressful. Since then, my mother-in-law has started visiting our house almost every week. Whether she's coming to nag at me or just to see her beloved son, I don't know. But it was becoming a stressful routine. By the way, I'll be on a business trip for a week starting next week. So, I'm counting on you to take care of the house. What? A business trip? Why all of a sudden? There's a presentation for the system I developed. I was involved as the main developer. The trip was real, but I was slightly excited to stretch my wings alone for a change. Week after week of enduring complaints about housework, meals, and how a wife should behave. No matter how busy I am. My husband insists he's the head of the household and doesn't help at all with chores. The presentation for the new system was nerve-wracking and more tiring than my usual work. But it was liberating not to be criticized by anyone and to not think about anything for that week. When the business trip ended and I returned home. Mary. Were you here? Yes. I moved here a week ago and am now living in this house. I'll take the bedroom you were using on the second floor. So you can use the storage room on the first floor or the unused room on the third floor. What? I didn't hear anything about this. What do you mean? The main supporter of this house has given his permission. So there's no need to ask for your approval. The person who pays the rent gets to decide everything. I had to ask again because I couldn't believe it. This isn't a nightmare, is it? Why is my mother-in-law living in this house? I don't understand. It was already stressful enough that she came to visit every week, but living together is unthinkable. Indeed, my mother-in-law lives alone and is getting older. It might be too late if something happens, and maybe my husband is worried. But it's unbelievable that he would start living together without discussing it with me. Who does he think this house belongs to? I wanted to say that. And about John as well. I couldn't forgive him for being so selfish to this extent. Hello? When I came back, your mom was here. What do you mean we're living together? What do I mean? It's exactly as you see. There's nothing odd about it, right? Everything is odd. Why didn't you consult me at all? There's no need to consult you. I've told you many times, I'm the one paying the rent. So you should follow my decision, right? I was so dumbfounded that I was speechless. So, he's serious about saying that. Alright, if that's what he wants to keep saying, then so be it. He seems to be forgetting something important. Does he realize from whom we're renting this house? I won't let him forget only what's convenient for him. I took the suitcase I had brought on my business trip and returned to my parents' house. He just let his mother live with us without asking. Don't you think that's strange? That's true. Have you been mistreated by them before? I thought it would worry you, and everyone says it's normal. So I didn't say anything. But I can't take it anymore. I see. All right. I have an idea. Father said this and made a phone call. From that day, I started living at my parents' house, and I didn't contact my husband for a week. Then, on Saturday, I went with my father to the house where my husband and his mother were living. When we rang the doorbell, my sleepy-looking husband appeared and scowled when he saw me and my father. What? Here, could you sign the divorce papers? What? Wait, what do you mean? We know all about what you and your mother have been doing. Stop pretending you don't know. As my father glared at him, my husband seemed a bit scared. He slouched completely and wouldn't meet our eyes. But I continued to speak directly to my husband. You and your mother have been bullying me. Did you think you can get away with it? No, there's no need to get a divorce. It doesn't have to go that far. So, who do you think you are? You act high and mighty and then get scared when divorce comes up. What do you think of me? I'm not usually someone who gets emotional and yells. So I think my husband was shocked by my outburst. But that's just how much anger I had been holding back. We will listen to what our daughter has to say, and from now on, we will make sure the rent for this house is paid in full. We have no intention of giving discounts to a stranger who has become unrelated to our daughter. What? From next month, the rent will not be $1,800, but $18,000. Got it? I've brought the contract as well, so sign it after you sign the divorce papers. As we said this, my husband was speechless. Probably shocked by the amount of $18,000. We were serious. How can you suddenly demand such an amount? That's impossible. What? You think you can say it's impossible? But I mean, you haven't even made a proper contract for this house, right? Once we're divorced and you become a stranger, you can't continue living here. If you can't pay the rent for this house, you should leave right now. Since there was no written contract, we were firm in our stance. Of course, my husband had never imagined it would come to this. But regretting it now is too late. He must take responsibility for his actions. We were determined to stand our ground, no matter how much he resisted. Hearing the commotion, my mother-in-law came out from behind. What's all this noise about? It's been a while. To put it bluntly, this house is mine, so please leave. We are getting our daughter divorced, and I have no intention of letting strangers live here. What? Leave, what are you talking about? Don't say such outrageous things. Who is being outrageous here? If you want to justify your actions, feel free to do so in court. Court. Both my mother-in-law and husband were shocked to hear the word court. This was all planned with my father. If these two made things difficult, we were prepared to take it to court. I suggested this because people who lack common sense won't understand reasonable arguments. But, because they lack common sense, the moment the word lawyer came up, they were quite scared. Where did all their bravado go? They looked at each other, completely avoiding eye contact. They must be panicking. You have a job, so you could just move near your workplace. That's all there is to it, right? I don't have the money for that. You don't have money? You must be joking. With your salary, you should have been able to save some. Are you saying you've been spending over $1,000 a month on junk? Well, I never thought I needed to save. I was astounded. He had a regular job, and the only thing he paid was the rent. I paid for the car and all other living expenses. So I thought he would have saved a little. He's really messing around. So I can't get a divorce or move out. That's right. Once you're married, you can't just get a divorce easily. It will leave a mark on the family register. How long will you stick to such old-fashioned ideas? Leaving a mark on the family register? I would divorce you without hesitation rather than live with people who are as unreasonable and self-centered as you. Do you even realize what you've done? Who's joking here? Don't make me angrier. They don't understand how much they've been mistreating me. So, because you have no money and want help, you think it's okay to just talk about divorce so casually. That's not my problem. And now that I think about it, perhaps my husband married me for my money, not so much mine, but my parents who own a business. He got to live in a large mansion cheaply, and eventually, I will inherit a substantial fortune from my parents. He was probably aiming for that, but I wish he would stop underestimating people. Don't forget that if we go to court, we have the upper hand. You have 1 week to move out of this house. Wait. I'm sorry. I'll do anything, even kneel and beg, just give me one more chance. I think we can definitely make it work. I admit there were some misunderstandings. But, we're married, aren't we? Didn't we promise to overcome anything together? That's why we're getting divorced, because you can't do that. Pretty words don't sustain a marriage. And since you've betrayed me, don't think I still trust you. I will never trust you again because of what you've done. As I mentioned earlier, we have an excellent lawyer. You're welcome to hire a lawyer and discuss this too. But given you can't even afford moving costs, I advise you not to incur further expenses. Father's words make perfect sense. He can't afford to move out, let alone hire a lawyer. Even if he did, it would be easy for me to divorce him and get him out of the house. That's all from me. I have no intention of talking to you any further. I said just that and returned home with my father. I had already blocked his phone number, so he couldn't call. But he and his mother continued to try to contact me through email, messenger, and other social media messaging features. I was really disappointed and appalled that they didn't understand what I was saying. But I continued to ignore them. We've communicated our side, and if they don't comply, we'll just have to talk through lawyers. We have substantial backing, so I wasn't worried at all. By the way, what happened after that? Tomorrow is the deadline we set. So if the divorce and moving out aren't complete by then, I've told them we'll call in the lawyer. They contacted me this evening to say they had submitted the divorce papers at the city hall and were ready to move out with their belongings packed. They said they would bring the keys here. I see. I'll handle it then. You probably don't want to see those people anymore.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks to my father handling the key exchange, I was able to avoid seeing those two. According to a mutual acquaintance, they are leading a miserable life now. Apparently, Mary doesn't have a job and can't support herself. So they had to look for a place together. They stayed in a motel for the first few days. Then they moved into a very cheap one-room apartment, starting their life together in a place that is less than 100th the quality of the house they used to live in. It seems their daily life is full of stress, and they constantly argue. Well, he does have a job, so it's a luxury problem, isn't it? From what I heard, he's been squandering money out of stress. Borrowing from acquaintances. Really? Is that so? So most friends have abandoned them. How are they going to live from now on? They have no money, and he has to take care of his mother. No one would marry someone like that. People at that age who don't know how to manage money probably shouldn't marry for everyone's sake. I felt truly miserable hearing they had been abandoned by friends. But I thought this was a good opportunity for them to recognize their actions and rehabilitate. Since then, I found a place for myself to live alone and am now enjoying life there. My work is going well, I'm in charge of a big project, and I have a great relationship with my parents. I don't know if I'll remarry. For now, I'm just enjoying my current life. No matter how much money you have, ultimately what matters is your relationships. If you can build healthy and good relationships, you can live happily even without much money. I hope to continue living my life valuing my passions, friends, and family, without clinging to money.